I'll toss you the link, Lauren. If you'd like, I can give you the first question while we just start it off, if you'd like.
Sure.
Alrighty, awesome. So when did you start YouTube, Lauren?
Well, it kind of depends on what you mean by start. So I made my channel back in 2009, and it was mostly just so I could leave comments on videos, but I didn't actually, like, post anything at the time. I started actually seriously actually making videos, all of 2016, so I've been doing this for about a year and a half.
Alright. Why did you decide to start YouTube, Lauren? What got you into that?
Well, I think just growing up on the website, I always thought it'd be cool if I had a channel of my own to make videos. I think doing the animation storytelling genre specifically stemmed from watching other people do it and saying, hey, I want to do that too. So, like, you know, The Odd Ones Out, Jaden Animations, Domix, Swoozy, all of them. So.
Right. So have you had any channels before this one, Lauren?
Nope, I did not have any channels before it.
Okay, so this is your first ever channel where you've produced content. Alright. Now, when did you start drawing, Lauren?
I guess, remember, I always started drawing. I'd say there was probably a point where I started to, well, because, I mean, every kid draws from time to time, and, like, my sister and I, we drew comics together as kids, and I'd say the first time I started seriously taking my drawing to, like, a new level, if you will, was probably around middle school, I guess, but I've been drawing my whole life, so.
Right. Why'd you start drawing, Lauren? What got you into that?
Cartoons growing up, and I think once I started watching anime in middle school, that really helped a lot with my whole, hey, there's more than just the cartoony art style, I could do any art style I want. So I think that, and watching a lot of animated movies and this and that. So I read newspaper comics, so all the above.
Gotcha. Someone in the chat says many pugs have been drawn, I imagine.
Yeah, for those who don't know, on my channel I have videos dedicated to my dog, Cookie, who happens to be a pug, and so, like, she's, like, a main staple of my videos. I put her in a lot of them, and so, yeah, I do draw her all the time, because she's fun to draw.
Yeah, right. Have you drawn any other kinds of dogs? I'm just curious.
Well, I mentioned this in one of my older videos. I used to have a comic strip as a kid, and one of the characters in the strip was a dog named Sparky. I don't know what kind of dog he was supposed to be, but I'd say between him and Cookie, that's probably the only dogs I've drawn regularly. I don't draw a lot of animals usually because I'm not good at them.
Oh. Now, how'd you learn to draw, Lauren? Did you watch tutorials, or did you just, like, teach yourself?
It's mostly from teaching myself. I'd say there have been a few, like, tutorials here and there that have helped, but I'd say for the most part, it's a lot of trial and error. Like, I'll look back at old stuff I did years ago, months ago, even weeks ago, and say, oh, I could have done this, I could have done this, I could have done this. So I always tell people who are just learning to draw that what you need to do is practice all the time and take as much inspiration from other things as you can, because that way you'll kind of just learn at your own pace. But I'm not anti-tutorial. Some people get a lot out of them, but I'm mostly just kind of taught myself.
Gotcha, yeah. A lot of other animators that I've interviewed have told me the exact same thing. They teach themselves. Some watch tutorials, they've told me. Or they read books or whatnot.
I've read a couple books on animating specifically, because I think animating is something that can really be studied and can, like, you can learn a lot from books, but drawing I've mostly just learned on my own. So.
Gotcha. So when did you start animating, Lauren?
I think the first time I can recall doing an animated anything was, I think, 7th or 8th grade, because I used to have a really cringy DeviantArt account, and you could like make little emoticons on that website, and you could post them and share them with people. And I thought it was cool that you could like make a little character move left and right or up and down, and so that was probably my first step into that little world. But I'd say the first, like, I like to make fun little animated GIFs in my time, but this YouTube channel was kind of the next step for me. Like, hey, you like to make GIFs, how about we make whole videos? So animation's always been just a fascinating thing to me. And I'm actually in college right now studying it just to show how much I love it, because I want to pursue it professionally.
Right, so like you said, you watched Jaden animations and the Odd Ones Out and such. Is that like what got you into animation, or was it something else? Was it watching cartoons? What was it that got you into it?
I'd say watching their videos helped me get into this particular niche group of like YouTube animators, like, because before people animated themselves telling stories, people would do like video game parodies like Ego Raptor and that kind of stuff. And I remember watching those growing up. I think just in general, I loved cartoons of all varieties, both on the web and like, TVs, movies. That's what got me into animation. And then like these specific storytime videos, I got inspiration from like James and Jaden and all of them.
Right. So, how do you learn to animate? You said you watched tutorials. What else helped you learn?
Well, kind of like learning to draw. It's a lot of trial and error. I remember my first day of animation class in college, we were given an assignment where we had to take 3 different like sports balls. I think it was like a ping pong ball, a tennis ball, and a bowling ball. And we had to do a study on how each of them moved differently, because like, a bowling ball is way bigger and heavier than, say, a golf ball or a tennis ball. So we had to learn, like, how do these things bounce? Do they squash and stretch, or do they just kind of plop on the ground? And I don't know, I think between that and kind of just learning through my own pace, you really kind of get a rhythm of how things move naturally. And again, it's a lot of trial and error. Like, I look back on some of the old things I used to animate, and they don't move very naturally. And I really think it's important in the world of animation to follow the arcs, which means like, following through with a whole motion, making things look as realistic as possible. And I think it was the great Richard Williams who said something along the lines of how your drawing or your character doesn't have to look realistic, but they have to move realistically. And so, I don't know. I always took that to heart, which is why very cartoony looking designs, but at the same time, I do like to make them move as realistically as I can.
Right, I understand. Now, have you heard of the new monetization rules on YouTube, Lauren?
Can you specify which ones? Because, I mean, it changes all the time, sadly.
The latest ones where you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time?
Those. Now, luckily, that did not affect me when they were issued, because I already have 10,000 subscribers, give or take, and I had already exceeded, like, the watch time amount. But I know there are a couple of friends of mine who that affected their channels, and it really makes me angry, because for a lot of people, they consider YouTube like, a source of income or a job or like something important to do, but it's getting harder and harder to kind of get into that kind of circle, especially with these new stipulations. So.
Right, yeah. Well, I guess it ties into the question that I'm about to ask you. What's your opinion on how YouTube treats animators?
Well, I'd say the relationship between animators and YouTube really started going downhill around 2011 or 12, I think it was, because, again, like I mentioned earlier, before these storytime animators, the big animation channels didn't do, like, simplistic style or stories. They did parodies, they did animated shorts, and they were very well done. The problem was that YouTube changed their algorithm from view count to view time, which meant that it was no longer financially out of your way to make something look as nice as possible, because animating takes a long time. So now these storytime animators have cropped up, and while the videos are coming out at a faster rate, it still takes a while for us to post stuff. Like, even the bigger channels like James and Jaden, it takes them a couple weeks to post a video, as opposed to vloggers who post stuff every day. So I'd say in general the animation community has always kind of been an underdog in terms of like how YouTube treats us as a whole, because we don't have the ability to just snap, put out new content every day, and that's difficult. So I don't know if it's getting better, but we have learned to adapt, is how I would put it. It's still pretty difficult to be financially stable in this business.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But I guess these rules help bigger content creators, because obviously creators like me don't make a lot of money, obviously. So like, I mean, like, I guess it doesn't really matter that small content creators were affected, because we don't make a lot of money in the first place.
I remember a friend of mine publicly had to address on her Twitter how she no longer is going to try and do YouTube as a money thing. Like, she's only going to do it as a hobby in her free time, because there's no way she can make money off of her stuff anymore. Which is sad, because, like, I feel like there are people out there who put a lot of love and passion into what they do, and the fact that they can't make money, and yet other people supposedly are just kind of cranking out daily videos that they don't put much thought into and making bank. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, but I guess a small content creator should start off with like seeing it as a hobby, and then, as the numbers start coming in, I guess they can start to see it as a job, a potential job. But I guess wait,
I would
go ahead. Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry.
I would never recommend that somebody go into a profession like this with, like, the goal of making a lot of money. Like, you need to have passion for it in the first place, because otherwise, like, if you're only in it for the money, then, I don't know, you're probably not going to get very far.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to quit instantly. Because, I mean, like, YouTube isn't a thing where, like, you make money from day one. It's like a thing you have to work up to, which can take years. Well, I guess I can ask you the next question now. So I watched your video on catching rabbits, and I was just curious. It's a bit of a silly question that I have here, but did you like to, like, catch any other animals besides rabbits as a kid?
Well, I think the thing is that rabbits were the only wild animals in my great aunt's backyard. Like, there were other, like, but they were like squirrels, which are impossible to catch, give or take. And also like dogs, but you don't want to catch a dog because it's somebody's dog.
Yeah.
Chased by a neighbor dog, and that was terrifying. I might do a video on that someday, who knows? But no, besides like the rabbit thing, I didn't really go out of my way to catch a lot of small animals growing up. I do have an appreciation for them. Like, even now, like, if I see a rabbit or a squirrel, like, just around my college campus, I'll go out of my way to, like, take a picture of it, because I think they're fascinating, but I don't go out of my way to catch them in a milk crate like I used to.
Yeah. How about birds or anything like that? There were no birds near you?
Birds is hard because they can fly. Like, you'd have to be really crafty to try and find a way to catch them. Like, you can't, like, jump up and just snatch them out the sky. So.
Yeah, I'm just saying because my mom used to tell me that she used to catch birds as a little girl. So I was like, oh, maybe Lauren used to do that as well.
I mean, we had a bird feeder on my back porch that, like, would attract birds, but it was mostly so we could watch them out the window, not so we could catch them. That's interesting, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, she'd let them go, obviously, but she'd just, like to, like, catch them and, touch them and such, but, like, not keep them or anything like that, of course. All right, so do you still like catching animals, or have you dropped that?
It's an interesting question. I mean, I haven't been to my great aunt's house in a while, and even now, again, me and my cousins were all grown up. So maybe someday, for old time's sake, we'll go on another rabbit hunt. But I think those days, for the most part, are behind me. I mean, like, kids have so much free time, it's ridiculous. And once you hit like college age, get out into the big bright world, it's like, ugh. I mean, I gotta schedule stuff, and it's just like I can't pencil in a rabbit hunt like today at 2, so I just don't really have the time.
Right. So, the video where you talked about your thoughts on fall, if I remember correctly, you covered summer a bit, but you didn't cover a lot of spring and winter. Is there any reason to that?
I wanted to touch on all of the seasons, but I think summer was the one I guess I most had the, like, I don't want to say disdain for, but I think it's the one that I could complain about the easiest because I don't know, I'm an indoor kind of person, and I love wearing like sweaters and being all like, wrapped up in blankets, and that's hard to do in the summer because it's too hot. So I think even though in the winter it's really cold, you can always come back and, like, be all nice and cozy in a dorm. And spring, again, like I say in the video, the weather's all over the place, but that still accounts for cold days. And just summer, I think, going back to like talking about how kids have free time, when you're a kid, like, you have all the free time in the world, and summer's great because you're out and you're roaming and you're having fun. By the time you're my age, summer means like getting a job and like this and that, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I had the most disdain for summer of the four seasons just because I associate it with all these like things I don't enjoy. But I mean,
Yeah. I can understand that. Yeah, obviously summer as a kid is more fun because you're off of school and such. Um, let's see. Oh, okay. Here's my next question that I have for you, Lauren. So, you made a video on Halloween. Would you consider like making a video on another holiday, like maybe Christmas or Thanksgiving or Hanukkah or anything like that?
maybe I was a more Christmas oriented video this past year, but it just never happened. I got too busy. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to do ones on the other holidays. I don't know what I would do one on first, because I don't know. It's an interesting concept I'd love to explore, but I think for now, I'm looking at my future video schedule. Nothing's planned, but I mean, it could happen. So.
Right. Would you like maybe ever make a video on the other two seasons you didn't cover, or not really?
If I want to like go on a long ramble about winter or spring per se, like I could probably do stuff surrounding things that happen in that season, like I don't know, like rain or something along those lines. But I don't think I would do a video just on winter or just on spring like I did with fall.
All right. Yeah, because you enjoy fall, so I guess you felt like you wanted to make a whole video on it. Right, that's understandable. Now I've got two more questions for you here, Lauren, and then we can conclude it. So the first one that I have is, what superpower would you like to have? Because you made a video on
Oh.
superpowers.
Oh man. I think of all the ones I mentioned in that video, none of them would be the one I absolutely want. I think if I could have a superpower, light, because that's always a cool one. If I could have a specific power, it might be the ability to freeze time. Because, like, there's just never enough time in the day to do everything I need to do. So, like, if I could, like, snap my fingers or clap my hands and stop time for a little while and, like, just do all the stuff I need to get done, that'd be a lifesaver. So, maybe that.
Right. I'd have to pick the superpower of reading minds. Because, I could see what everyone's thinking. And that'd be pretty neat. Like, I could tap into someone's mind that I'm interviewing and see what they think.
Make interviewing a lot easier.
Yeah. I could just, like, relay what they're thinking before they say it. That'd be great. Alright, so last question I have for you here, Lauren, and then we can conclude it. So what are your plans and goals for this year?
Like this calendar year of 2018?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Well, I don't really, like, have a bucket list of things I do every year, and I'll always say I have a resolution, but, like, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I think for this year, I want to kind of just do a lot of things I've never done before, which is very vague, but, I mean, that's what living's all about. You got to do new things. So, like, this year alone, I've already, like, well, I'm on this interview with you, which is very nice. I've never been on a Discord interview like this. I podcast that I've been watching for a long time, and I finally got to be a guest on, which was cool. I'm going to VidCon this summer, so like just a lot of new and exciting things are coming up. I'd say I've always wanted to write a book. I don't know if I'll get that done this year, but that'd be kind of cool. Like write like a manuscript, maybe not get it published, but write something. I don't know, do well in school. That's kind of a generic one, but it's the truth. Coming to me at the moment. I guess another one would be, like, get maybe 30,000 subs, because I'm at 10 right now, so I think I can triple the number by the end of the year. Who knows?
Okay, I thought you were gonna shoot for like maybe like 50 to 100K.
No, like I see people who shoot for that, and I'm like, good for you, but like I don't know. I'm the word I'm looking for isn't pessimistic, but I'm always kind of one of those like people who's very like grounded, and I'm just like, let's not like shoot for the stars. Let's keep it reasonable, because that way, if have a lower hurdle, it's easier to jump over, I guess. That's not to say I don't believe in myself. It's just I want to keep things reasonable, so I'm shooting for 30,000 as of now.
Right, you want to keep it realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. I mean, not to say that it's not like impossible to go from 10K to maybe like 50K. I'd say 100K is way harder, but maybe 50K is a bit, it's still in the realistic area. But I guess going from 10K to 100K, I don't know. It's just.
I think it's also like YouTube is such a gamble. Like I have a lot of animator friends who like some of them will jump from like 10 to 20K in like a week. Some will jump from like 50 to 100K in like a month, and then there are others who have been at this for over a year and they're still sitting at like. So it's just like, it's the luck of the draw almost. So that's why I think if I shoot for just the basic number, that maybe I'll do better. Who knows? But
Yeah, YouTube is. Oh wait, sorry. What were you saying, Lauren?
of the day, I want to hit the 30K, and then I'll be satisfied. So.
All right. Yeah, I'd say like YouTube is a very tough place to grow on. So yeah, I guess just keep it as realistic as possible would be the best idea for the goal of the year. All right. Well, that's it, Lauren. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll see you next one. Take care